So, Luka Nation, interesting week, more even crazier month, but we're officially in that kind of final stretch to national, and I can't think of a better guest to kind of kick off this. Cage and I spoke yesterday a little bit. I'm like, let's get more guests on before national. For one, I think a lot of you will kind of bump into them and get to know them and make friends. I think Milan Kobe East Coast, who's our guest today, talked about 6 degrees of separation. Maybe our show can bring people a little bit closer together. But also, our guest today is he's interesting for me. You're not someone that I personally know. You're someone I admire from afar, from how you kind of move, so to speak. I think, from afar, I've seen you, in digital currency, in NFTs, and in cards, right? So I'm curious, Who is this guy? Who is Kobe East Coast? Who's Milan? And you come on, you have Gary V on, PBD, and Shyway Vlogs. That's who this guy's crew is. So very eclectic.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He says, "Hey, you have on those guys," and that's kind of like my thing. But so now I put my seatbelt on because I know this episode is going to be full of we're going to have some Zion love. We're going to talk about V Friends, and we're just going to go completely off on a tangent. If we got some Shyway, we got some GV. If you're like a mix of all those guys and PVD, maybe you'll sell me some insurance by the time we're done. Who the hell knows?
It's possible. You never know. I want to put it this way. Patrick Bet David, he's like my immigrant guru, in the sense that he made it. I listen to him. I like his points of view. Gary V, he's the uplifter, and then Shay is just my friend who I met through the hobby, and he's just like a comedic influence on me, and it's great.
So Milan, this question it'll come different from me, I think, because I hear it a lot. I hear it from Andrew, and I hear it from you. And what is it about the immigrant thing? What is it about the hobby that draws folks? Is it an entrepreneurial spirit that most lazy, fat, old Americans like myself don't have? What is it? Because I've heard this a bunch of times. Is it the ability to just kind of if you're willing to put in the work and do the research yourself, you could do it? What attracts you?
Listen, it's generally speaking, I think it's one of those things where you try to find your place and you try all these avenues, and you might put in more effort than the average person, and you might make it, you might not, but it's like the community, it's a lot of people that I know in my own community who have been very successful, and majority of them are first generation here or second generation here. So it's just, everybody finds their own niche, and it's interesting to see. Granted, the way things have evolved in this country over the past so many years, but to focus in on sports, the influx of, international players, me being Serbian, and, you'd probably, my father takes Djokovic as like a second son, but I don't really watch tennis that much. But the way it started with Divac when he came off the plane with the cigarette in his mouth, you would have to be Serbian or, from the Balkans to understand that mentality. But, he gave it his all for the Lakers, and then so on and so on. Now we have Jokic, and he's like the baby goat over here for us, and we're very proud, man.
Do you guys? Not that is Jokic like a national hero. Did you see Jokic coming up before others? Were you on that train before others?
I did not. I don't really follow European basketball that much. I did know about Luka when he played for Madrid, but by the time he came here, and I wasn't on that boat with his cards. But I knew that he was a professional player, like 15, 16 over there for Real Madrid. But no, I don't really like after Milicic. I stopped giving it, hope to our players until they actually do something.
Is it okay, Cage, to ask about the origin story? Because I'm curious.
Of course.
I'm an immigrant as well. I come from Ukraine, Milan. And my parents, I collected for the first 6 years of my life. Maybe I was 6 years old. I'd go with my grandma to flea markets. We'd buy cards. We'd buy Disney movies. Those were the two things we loved, cards and Disney movies. And then, 13 years old, I went to camp, and all my cards were given away to, the younger kid, the younger Russian, Ukrainian kid.
Right.
When did you start collecting? What was your collecting journey like?
Well, when I was, I grew up in Brooklyn, so there weren't too many card shops around my neighborhood. I remember one specifically that was probably, 5, 6 blocks away from my house that I used to stop in. And I actually started getting pogs. Like pogs were like the
Pogs.
things that I
Yes,
started
they're
collecting.
gonna come back, man. I'm telling you,
Like,
Ron, they're gonna come back. Pogs.
Yeah.
They're
I
coming
used to
back.
buy those, and then they had the little packs of cards. So I remember like '93 Fleer.
Was it Hot
That was
Corner?
like
Was it the original Hot Corner? Was that the store? I mean, what part of Brooklyn?
Bay Ridge.
All right, it might have been Hot
Bay
Corner.
Ridge. It might have been. I don't know the name. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't remember the name. It was a small store. So like Fleer 93, 94. I had a good friend of mine who I grew up with, who's still one of my best friends. We used to like get the binder, put the cards in there. It was just players to collect back then. Like it was just fun. It had no meaning other than something that we could sit around, build our binders, shoot back and forth, information. I don't even remember if I traded any cards. So that's kind of how it started. It was like 93, 94. The Knicks were hot back then. I remember crying Game 7 when they lost. Like that was tough. And then eventually, like 95, 96 when Flair came out, that 95 actually. I remember the Flair or the USA packs, like when they had special packs with with Shaq. I wanted to get all the Shaq packs. I had the sneakers, the zebras, so I was a big Shaq guy. And that's how it started. And then, like a lot of people my age, we stopped once we got to high school. We took a break, and those were the best years from like 96 till 2002, 3.
Yep.
So you like from high school to like the end of college or mid college, we took a break. And now looking back on it, if I knew anything, I would have never taken a break. And who knows how much money I would have unloaded.
Imagine you were a couple years younger, right? Instead of collecting 91 through 95, you were collecting 96 through 2000 or up to 2003. Imagine that. That would have been crazy.
Exactly.
Such a different. I mean, there's that 5-year period because it brought in inserts, it brought in numbered cards, it brought in real refractors. Chrome came in, Kobe came in, and I mean,
it's like I like to call it the perfect storm. It's like the perfect storm of the draft class, the perfect storm of the innovation, the perfect storm of obviously people are on Instagram arena design, what they were tasked with doing, and all the stuff that they came out with. Like it was just. And then Jordan winning, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth ring.
Yep.
So it was the golden era for me personally, like that era of 95 to like late 95 to 2000. That's like the golden era of cards.
There's a name for us collectors, Milan, who were just a couple years too early. We're Bledsoe fans instead of Brady's. That's what we got. Bledsoe. The later guys got Brady. That's
right.
96, 2003, 2018. Those are like those 3 years have made. Right, like, is that fair?
So I go back further than that, right? I would say 89 was a huge year, but it was baseball because baseball expanded. That was you got Upper Deck baseball. Score came out in 88, and 92 was huge for basketball because basketball you got the premium stuff. You got Upper Deck and basketball. They came in 91, but then you had like Fleer Ultra came in that 92. Shaq brought it all out. And it was a legit draft class. Like 91 was Larry Johnson. Okay. Larry Johnson's great. Maybe some Kenny Anderson. 90 was Derek Coleman, Ronnie Cycli, Drazen, your boy, I'm sure, right? I mean, but not Shaq, Alonzo Mourning, Christian Laettner. Like it exploded. You had the Dream Team as part of those sets as well. Jordan started winning championships. Afterwards. Weber and Hardaway the year after. Jason Kidd, Grant Hill, and Glenn Robinson Sr. in the year after that. It was, it's not a surprise basketball cards went nuts there.
And then the Harden of the 90s.
Who? Stackhouse?
Stackhouse, the Harden of the 90s.
Yeah. And Grant Hill, too.
It's amazing how that works because the 95 draft turned a lot of people off to basketball cards because there's nobody in it. And then 96 just came and it was like, all right, people left. What I mean? Like,
shouldn't this conversation give people hope, though, like that the hobby cycles? And I ask because, like, dude, people are feeling it this month. People are getting, not even this month. I think the question a lot of people are asking are like, they bought it at the hype. So they were down a little bit from that buying it at the top in general.
Right.
Then this last few months have crushed them. And this is NFTs and cards and crypto, guys. And now I think the question people are asking is like, is this summer and then, fall that's going to be good, or are we going to get bludgeoned again? How are you thinking about markets as, do you still own your punk, Milan?
Oh, so the story with the punk.
Here you go.
I did that in Photoshop. That's not a punk. I drew myself with a backwards head on and made a little punk. I don't own any crypto punks. I know about them. I can't afford them. I'll be honest with you. But I made my own. I do have crypto. I like crypto. I'm in it. I've been in it since 2017. But the crypto punk thing, that's just kind of a little.
You were trolling. You were trolling the NFT guys.
It was when I think I don't know who it was. One of the first guys, like I think it was Putnam or Summertime, when they put up their pictures. I did one for me. I did one for Shay. Shay was too embarrassed to put his up, so I just put mine up. But I was like,
his had a kaboom background though. It was a kaboom.
Yeah, I should have. I mean, it was green, by the way, which would be the 101.
The 101, a kapunk.
But yeah. But yeah, that was a little thing I did.
Don't want to be out there trying to do kaboom punks either. We already got that shit going, so don't try to spoof it.
You patented that one. What's going on with the market?
Fanatics is going to do it. They're going to be funks. Everything's got it. Frism and funks. We're all set. Fanatics is going to take. They're going to bring a big gasoline pot and just throw it right on the fire.
Dude, that could go. That in like what is it? Like 4 or 5 years. That could go in so many ways.
So Milan, I have a theory. All right.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of collectors came in on the high. Just like a lot of collectors came in when LeBron's Chrome was $40,000 for the base, and just like Fanatics came in at a high too. Do you think maybe there's any discussion in the back rooms of Fanatics saying, "Whoa, maybe we stepped in it a little"? Maybe.
It's possible. I mean, listen. I hope they have a good game plan going forward. I mean, it's not. I don't know how much. Like, it's a lot of money. I don't care who you are, and it's a bet in 5 years. So it's kind of a midterm to longer term bet. I mean, in 5 years, who knows what's gonna happen? I could give not that anybody's gonna care, but if I could give my piece of advice, if anybody wanted to listen, I would recommend for them to do like 3 or 4 different departments isolated from one another, and give them all tasks to create like their own thing to like kind of like do a battle of the groups. Like it'll all be card related. But like you guys take care of this product, you do this, and whoever does the best, most innovative, give them something to create.
Cage, I don't know if I've ever. So on that topic, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I worked for Gary Vee for maybe 6-7 months, and he did that with us. So we wanted to do like a customer appreciation thing for like the people in his contacts. So he broke us into 3 or 4 teams. And our job was to think of something that we could, afford to give away, roses, tchotchkes, whatever, for a certain budget, and then to do an Instagram ad promo that we're doing this. And he broke us into 4 teams and let the winner win out. And it's a good way because it gets competitive. It's fun. Yeah. Interesting ideas come from it. It's where innovation. It's.
I think of it like if Steve Jobs was alive. And he had people working on the iPhone. He'd have somebody else working on the smartwatch, and like it would be like whoever comes up with the best thing. Like don't just stick everybody on an iPhone, and hope for the best kind of thing. You gotta delegate the work and give them incentive and a budget.
I like it. So do you let all of the ideas get out there into the universe though? Because the collecting universe has different tastes, right? They like a buffet of stuff, or do you just say, you know what, you guys are competing head to head? Well, whoever comes with the best idea is the one that's going to go out there.
Well, I mean, obviously they have the licenses, right? There's a certain technology that they could use. I mean, are they going to regurgitate the cracked ice? I'm sure they are. Are they going to regurgitate the spiral PMG design? I'm sure they are. But at the same time, there's stuff that they could do that, it doesn't have to be mass produced. Like it could be kind of exclusive. It also depends on the price too. That they could, I'm sure, in 5 years there'll be technology that will make a card even better than it is today. That's just wishful thinking.
What do you do cards full time?
No. I do. I'm a real estate broker. So I do real estate full time. Cards are like a side thing. They're a passion. They're something that I just like. And the other thing about cards for me, I focus on one player and one era. Like right now, it's all Jeter. Like what you see behind me is all Derek Jeter cards. I have no other, I have boxes of loose stuff, but what I mainly focus on is one player. I try to build like a mosaic of around a collection of one player that like of an era that means something to me, and happened to be the way I moved. Like I was into Kobe at first. I had a big collection of Kobe cards, all 9.5 gem mint. It was about 130 cards. And then I sold that collection. This was about 2 years ago. And then I didn't know, what to do afterwards. I tried dabbling in prospects, but it wasn't for me. And then I was like, I got to go back to something that I feel comfortable with, that's not so high risk, and something from an era that I enjoy. And then when I realized how many nice, awesome inserts from the late 90s crossover from basketball into baseball, anything from the PMGs to the essential credentials to the 24K to a lot of cards. Then I focused on a player, and Jeter was my guy. I mean, the Yankees, New York, growing up, 5 rings, the accolades, you can't beat it.
You're the second guy in 2 days. I'm not gonna blow up this guy's spot because I love this dude, but he was talking about a card. It was a credentials card, and how in basketball what it's priced compared to some legends in baseball, and it's licensed. It's licensed. It's a beautiful card. Very smart. Very, very, very smart. What for people out there that don't know your Kobe collection, what was it centered around?
You mean like what was the biggest card I had?
Not like the biggest card, but you said like you collect a player in an era, right? And like a style.
Yeah.
So
the way that started for me, because I got back into like collecting heavily in 2007-8. At the time, my girlfriend, now my wife, she bought me a box of basketball cards for my birthday, and it was a 96-97 Skybox Premium from David Adams. And when I got that box, I opened it up, and on top, the loose card in the box was the rookie rubies with the Kobe, the rookie Kobe rubies with the layup pose. And I was like, wow, I was blown away.
Your girlfriend, now your wife,
exactly,
for your birthday, bought you a 96 Skybox. You open that, and there's
that's
a
why
Kobe ruby.
that's why she's the wife.
That's why she's the wife. Yeah.
Was she with you when you opened that? Did you open it right away?
Yeah, she was with me. Oh, I was screaming, man. At that time, that card raw was like $500. The box was like $350. I'm like, we definitely made money. Like, you did a good thing. Like, don't worry about it. But the rubies came one per box, and they were loose on top of the box. They weren't in the packs.
Yep. Which is part of the reason the condition sensitivity on that. A lot of people don't know that, Andrew. Those rubies didn't come packs, so why you see them in 7s and it doesn't matter. People still pay for BGS 7s on those. It was like a box topper. Yeah, just a box topper.
It was loose. Yep, it was just on top of the packs. And at that time too, coincidentally, I got into grading. And growing up, I was into Beckett magazine, basketball cards, prices. Like that's how everybody followed what was going on. I started sending cards to BGS, so I sent that card in with a bunch of other random cards, and it came back a 9.5. And that, like, a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, it's a gem mint rookie. I pulled it myself. So that was like the linchpin to my collection. After that, I was on eBay like daily, multiple times, searching Kobe BGS 9.5s. And over like a span of like 3 years, I ended up, amassing a nice collection of some rare, sensitive cards, 9.5. Because back then, first of all, the prices weren't crazy. I mean, you're talking about anything from $150 to $500, $700. Like that was like a 9.5. And from what I remember, I could be wrong, a PSA 10 and a 9.5 were almost identical. There wasn't a big difference between a PSA 10 and a BGS 9.5. A funny story about that is I bought a PSA 10 Platinum Portraits Kobe. It was a pop 3 on PSA 10. I crossed it over to a 9.5. BGS. So I had it as a 9.5. The pop report, I think it's still 3 on PSA 10. If you look at the pop report PSA, but there's only really I think 2 out there. There's not 3. It might be 4 and 3 or 3 and 2. But there's one less because I cracked
the PSA 10 to BGS 9.5 crossover.
You're
a wild man. You live on the edge. I could tell you live on the edge.
No, but it's actually. I mean, we make a joke of it now, but it tells. There's a lot of stuff I have to unpack from this story. We can get into the Kobe's and the whole deal, but number one is the change over time of a lot of things. The way people collect, the way you collect, the way people grade, what companies, what comes in and out of favor, what kind of cards come in and out of favor, what the pricing is on these cards. I mean, some of these cards you're talking about in these grades, I mean, these are 5-6 figure cards, not $100 or $50 or $500. These are cards that set you up for life kind of cards, which is amazing stuff. And you were only grading them in BGS. Now people probably bought your BGS 9.5s and probably crossed half of them over to PSA because that's where we are now.
Yeah. Well, when I moved my collection, I moved it all as a lot. I didn't piece it out. I wasn't going to piece it out. I don't want to.
I got a question for you, right? Because I mean, it's luck, skill, the whole 9 yards. We'll get to that in a second, right? But more importantly, we've talked to a lot of people, and we've covered the collector versus investor hobby, thing. I'm a collector. I'm an investor. Some of the people who are collectors, they're story selling a lot of their collection right now. I mean, it's it's what happens, right? I mean, you're a collector until you're not a collector, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what happens. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And however you want to, move your assets, however you want to collect, however you want to buy, sell, it's your money. It's your cardboard. Like you would do whatever you want. No, I'm not going to judge it, right? But it's rare that I hear somebody tell the story of, I'm going to collect one guy from one specific kind of and I'm not doing anything else, right? Especially now in the time of investments. I've seen people buy golds, or I'm going to get whatever golds I can get. And sure, there are people out there who are Jordan collectors, but they don't just have only Michael Jordan cards and shun all other cards. You're telling me it was just Kobe, and then now it's just Jeter, right?
Yeah.
The Kobe time, I'm sure you made money on. I'm sure you did okay on Kobe, right? And part of that, will you admit that there was some luck in pulling the Kobe, in the timing, in getting in? Or do you want to say that you just had skill and foresight?
No, I'll be completely honest with you. When I started the collection, my intent was to keep it for a very long time, pass it down to my kids, leave them, because at the end of the day, it was a good amount of money invested, but it wasn't like what one card is selling for nowadays per se. And the only, one of the factors that made me change my course after he passed away was it was a little tough, but the prices of his cards were so high that the ones that I was missing, I wasn't willing to pay for, or I wasn't able to find in a 9.5 because all I wanted was 9.5s. It's like the OCD factor that I have. And they were all vertical. I don't collect any horizontal cards. That's
another little layer.
Nothing horizontal. Because I display them all, right? So I want to look at them all. I don't want to look at something like this.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
So that was my intent. And then when the prices got astronomical, I mean, he passed away. I held him for another almost a year. I bought some more cards after that happened just because I was missing them. But then it got to the point where I was like, what I want, I can't afford. I won't be able to find. And we ended up, the pandemic, we were locked in the city. I have 2 kids. I was in an apartment, we got out. So I moved it. I told my wife, we're going to sell this. We're going to buy a house. And that's what ended up happening. And I couldn't be happier for it, man. And then this just was a natural transition kind of.
So is your jumping into the Jeter, probably only vertical Jeters and, is that now, all right, I'm just starting over. I'm collecting it. It's fun. I have the money from Kobe. Or do you now go into it with a different mindset saying, I'm going to buy the best Jeter stuff. I'm still going to do BGS 9.5s because that's my thing. I'm OCD. So you unwrap it. And also, hey, in 2 years, I'm just going to sell it all because that's what I do.
Right.
Is it different now?
No. Well, there's some similarities, but there's differences too. Like I don't plan on selling these, and you could have. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I will not sell these for just to sell them. But the thing, I don't do BGS now. Why? Because I cannot find all these cards in a BGS. That's number one. Like I cannot find all gem mints of these cards. Number two, for me, PSA is baseball related. Like growing up, I always remember the vintage was in PSA slabs. So for me, vintage baseball translates to modern baseball, which should be in a PSA slab. Basketball cards I prefer in BGS slabs, just visually. That's just me. So these are all PSA. The other part about it that I realized is you could tell what a gem mint BGS card is across the room. It's gold, the label. You could tell what a BGS mint card is. So visually, you could tell them apart. You can't tell what these grades are looking at them across the room. You have to, put them up to your face. See if it's a 9, 10.
Right. So for display purposes, the PSA,
yeah.
even if you happen to get one an 8 or a 9 or a couple 10s or whatever it is,
Yeah.
they all look uniform where your gold was uniform. It's funny.
Right.
So your BGS 9.5 was almost an aesthetic thing because of the gold.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. That was part of it too. That was and like the bottom 3 rows I have here, they're all raw that I plan on getting graded when these prices come down. I'm not spending money to grade these for whatever they go for now, a card or an upcharge. And then the top 3 rows are all PSA. So
Milan,
I split it that way too.
From 2008, when you got the Rubies Kobe until you sold the collection, was there a card you were chasing in that time that you had that story that was a crazy story, like that one, I almost let that one get away, or like, is there a story that you were chasing a card?
I was, man. I was chasing the 96, 97 EX, the green Kobe in a 9.5. That was like one of the cards. It wasn't even that expensive, but it was just, I sent personally probably about 50, 60 of those to BGS myself for grading over the years. They're so hard to gem mint because the way they were made, the cuts, they're all off-center.
Diagonal and off-center, yeah.
Is that the card with the sky and like the kind of gold green?
It's got the green border, it's die cut, and then it's see-through in the middle with the sky, yes.
There was one, I don't think it was a 9.5, there was one in the last Golden auction.
Yeah, that was my favorite card, like that I could afford, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I even knew about the red PMG. I didn't know about the 24K. Like,
so
I didn't know about these cards.
Stop for a second. So, and Andrew, this is important because this is somebody who collected in the earlier 90s. The PMG does not hold the same sway for the older people, right? It's sure now you know about it. It becomes this like, wow, that's a talked about card. But I have this theory, Milan, that PMG is big now because the big money people now, they collected in that 95 to 2000. A couple reasons, right? Chicken and the egg. They're the big people in the hobby now because they collected then. And they were able to get their Kobe's and their Chromes and their PMGs and make that money. And they're the ones that's the card.
It could be luck, or it could be that they knew something we didn't know. I mean, granted, it was a serial numbered card, but who at 15 years old is going to go, or 13, 12, 13, 14, who's going to go and read the print run and understand the print run that this is like to 90, this is one of the first serial number cards? Who's going to spend all the money to try chase one at that time? Like if you were maybe in your mid-20s to your 30s, mid-30s in 96, 97, 98, and you understood the hobby, you followed it.
Stadium Club in the same year had Chrome called One of a Kind, and they were numbered to 100 for everyone. Shaq has one. All these guys. Jordan has them.
What is it called? Stadium Club.
It's a Chrome Stadium Club, One of a Kind, and they're numbered to 100.
I never even heard of that.
But
I don't. If I see it,
that's a serial numbered card out of 100. I think I have a Dale Ellis in my basement. I'll grab it. I'll post a picture.
Grab a Drew Bledsoe while you're down there.
That would be easy. I can't step in my basement without stepping on a Drew Bledsoe.
So you sent 50 of those EX 96 Kobe's to BGS, all 9s, 8.5s, 8s?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've sent a bunch. The highest grade I've gotten was a 9. Like, there's only 30. I believe, I might be wrong, about 20,000 have been submitted. There's only 30 or 35 that are 9.5. That's like crazy. That's like a 2% gem rate or 3% gem rate. So I finally bought one after his passing. Like I bought one. I remember I spent I was on auction on eBay. I think it ended at like $4,300. And I was like, this is amazing. This is like awesome. And then I bought a few more cards afterwards that weren't 9.5, but I at that point I was like, I need to get these because they were serial numbered. Like I got the Classic 61 with Jordan, serial number 61. That one I found on Facebook Marketplace, man. Like that's the other thing. You gotta like go to all these like little like.
You got to look under every rock, every crack.
There's an essential credentials Jeter. Granted, it's 5K, it's overpriced, but it's on Poshmark. Like who goes on Poshmark and looks at cards?
I'm in Florida here. There's like these everything is a strip mall in Florida. Apparently, it's absurd. But there's a lot of pawn shops and there's a lot of like auction consignment. Did you even go that far to like go to your local like pawn shops or consignors or auctioneers?
When I was in Florida, I was in Clearwater for a vacation. I did go to the flea market, like the big strip one that was like 2 miles long, and we were looking for cards, but it wasn't really. I didn't really find anything there. Yeah, it was bad. But in terms of like stories like that, I've found cards online, and like the farthest I went was drive maybe like 3-4 hours to get a card. I haven't really, that's kind of my. Even when I go to shows, like I'm so focused in on what I want that I'll walk through a show, like just looking. If I don't see what I want, I'll just keep going. Like I won't stand there and really stare at stuff. I'll look through like the dollar boxes just to see if there's anything interesting. Like the stuff in the display cases I really don't care about it because it's not something that I'm looking for. And the funny thing about it is I was actually, Cage, you were there at the Long Island show. You were with your son. I was with Shay. I remember seeing you. I don't know if you know what happened at that show, man. There was a buddy of mine from Long Island who I bought a Kobe like 2.5 years ago. He came with all his Jeters. And like
you just went nuts.
I knew what he had. But I didn't know he was going to sell them. He showed up with the 98 PMG. He showed up with the Super Rave. He showed up with the 99 Skybox Rubies. He showed up with a 96 Circa Rave. I mean, it was probably like $20,000, $25,000 worth of cards. And the PMG was there. And this is the thing I regret now. Like, he was asking 8K for it. And I didn't pull the trigger, man. I have this like mental block in my head. Like I won't go over a certain number. I don't, but I should have. It was gone. Like the second I turned around
and walked away. It's a piece of cardboard?
Huh?
Because it's a piece of cardboard?
No, because he knows he knows what he wants to spend. He knows the cards out there he's got to buy, and he can't go bankrupt.
I have this guilt thing. I mean, I've got 2 kids. I financially responsible feeling. Like, if I spend but that card is worth like 30, 40, 50 today.
Yeah. Milan, so I see the cards are going up, right? So I have this, the theory holds, and Andrew says I'm a contrarian, so you would think I would get more of the baseball stuff because no one's doing it, right? I think it may be fool's gold, and I love your Jeter stuff, so this doesn't apply to you because you're just on a collector, right? But I think it may be fool's gold to say, you know what, the PMGs in baseball, they're licensed, let's go get them. Hey, the essential credentials in baseball, not just Jeter. Jeter's fine. There's always going to be a Jeter collect. I'm talking about all of them, the Ripkins and the Bonds and all those guys. Oh, well, the PMGs, it's the same thing. And here's why, Andrew. We just talked about, it's numbered out of 100. It makes sense. I make jokes about the kaboom cabal, right? The contrarian thing does not help me, right? It doesn't, right? Because I'm the one who went and said, you know what, I love the Jordan rookie card. So instead of buying 2 Jordan PMGs, I buy 1 Jordan rookie card, right? That's a mistake because everybody who means something to the hobby, all of the guys who run it, the kaboom cabal, they're on the PMGs, but they're on it for basketball. And they're not on it for basketball like the Giannis one. They're not on the retro basketball. They're not on the Jordan ones. They're not on the later ones, even though they look exactly the same. And they're not on the baseball ones. Yet. Right. I mean, that could change, right? They're not on the Super Raves unless it's basketball. Even though it's the same thing, it's licensed, the whole deal. So you would think I'd be, contrarian player. I should be buying the baseball stuff. I should be getting all the Griffey stuff. But I honestly don't think, and this is one of those things about the hobby, and maybe I'm just an idiot, right? Or maybe I'm a genius. And maybe I'm a little bit of both. But I now read the tea leaves on this stuff, and I say, you know what? These guys, they're controlling this. Right? I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to go get my tinfoil hat. But
Controlling what? The prices of PMGs?
the fact that PMG basketball is the thing that everybody's going after, and that no one has gone after PMG baseball, right? And
But you'd be surprised. The PMG baseball,
it's starting to pick up.
it's starting to pick up. I mean, you got to take into consideration too the players. I mean, obviously you have Jordan, Kobe.
So I love the players. I love
Allen
it.
Iverson.
But I guess
Well,
what
in
I'm saying, yeah, you have a whole bunch. You have Maddox, you have Bonds, you have Nolan Ryan still on some of those. Depending upon how what years you're going for, like finest.
Right,
but like the PMGs, you got great guys. Trust me, I get that. And Jeter, of course, A-Rod. But look, I mean, football. You got Peyton Manning like a rookie in there. They don't, they sell, but they don't sell for what the basketball ones sell for, and those are licensed, right? I mean, they sell.
Peyton Manning isn't in his pro jersey.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
he's in a Tennessee jersey.
But it's still a
matters.
licensed card.
That matters.
Card. All right,
the market for basketball, in my opinion, it's much bigger
correct
than for baseball and then for football.
No, but I guess what I'm saying, even basketball, though, right? I mean, like, there are numbered cards. There are other cards. Like, what is it that I mean, the biggest question I will always have is, what is it about the damn PMGs? Arena. Who cares?
Listen,
Seriously, who cares?
I will never, like, bat down a card from 96 to 2000 that's in that stratosphere. To me,
and I do, and I lose. Because for some reason, that's what everybody chases.
But I'm telling you, it goes back to that perfect storm, man. For our age, and like a little bit older, a little bit younger, like that was the era. Like that's everything that they're doing. Basically, I'm gonna put it to you this way: everything that Panini is doing now and has been doing for the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years, they're just copying what was done 20 years ago. Those are all original effects, designs, ideas, even the crazy planets, man. Like even that stuff. Sure, they'll come up with oddball, one-off, new design. But even the Kaboom is, that's a reproduction of something, right? You know what that's a reproduction of?
Well, the crunch cards from 91 score football.
Did they have that design back then?
Well, I posted on my page. It says crunch. It says kabam. It doesn't say kaboom. It says bam, and it's got like a comic book like collision kaboom in it.
The Epic's Emerald in baseball.
Yeah, that's
that design.
That's more of the shiny. Yes, I mean
with the star blow up around it. Like, so
Milan Cage doesn't like shiny cards.
I don't like shiny.
No. Oh man.
I don't like
turn the light on over here.
He got his first shiny card ever in his life, and they threw a party for him.
It's true. It's very true. No, I guess what I'm saying, guys, is I don't want to get caught up in the chasing the second tier. Like basketball, PMGs, basketball inserts, that's what people are chasing. And I've been burned, I guess, saying, all right, well, I can't afford the PMG. I'm going to go get the later PMG.
How is that second tier? How is Griffey, Bonds, Jeter in a PMG
the sport,
second
baseball,
tier?
Baseball second tier. Baseball second tier to basketball.
Yeah, but
it might be third tier if you put football in.
But it's the same thing that you talk about how, like, when LeBron's prices go up, isn't there a rubber band effect for Luka's?
There hasn't been. No, there hasn't been.
I mean, listen, if you're going to buy these cards to try to make money off them, that's a completely different ballgame. If you're buying these cards because you're trying to build something and you want to enjoy them and you want the chase is there for you personally to go get one, then I had the money to buy one, man. I didn't buy it. I regret it now, but
Milan, it's funny that you say that, right? It's not about that. I think you actually might have it right and wrong at the same time, right? I think that the reason why they will go up in value is because there are people like you who are buying it to not sell it. And if you find a card that your people are buying without trying to say, oh, I'm buying this for 10 now because I want to sell it for 15 next week, those cards are not the ones you want. The cards you want are the ones that people are buying for 10 because they plan to put it in their coffin or give it to their kids. Those will be the ones that turn to 15 because you're not going to get the one from the guy who paid 10.
And there's also something to be said for a short printed card.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, there's only so many that could go around. So the odds of you finding one and you really want one and somebody's willing to let go of one, you might have to pay for it. But that's you know, that's where the money comes into play. But just the whole part of like transitioning from one sport to another and discovering all these cards all over again, that's fascinating. That's what drives me. That's like what keeps me.
Well, yours is laser focused, man. You know, you got specific, you know, years, specific genre, a specific player, and basically vertical cards. I mean, like, that's good, because otherwise you go bankrupt. I mean, one of the things we try to tell people when they ask for like advice, it's like, all right, what should I buy? And I'm like, all right, you know, first of all, you can't just go on eBay and just start buying things, because you're gonna go broke and you get divorced. Right? So the more narrow you can get, the better. So I
my
love
criteria on PWCC Weekly is laser focused. Under 55 bid, football, basketball, soccer, 1996 and up year.
The PWCC Weekly has it's got 186 pages. Andrew doesn't look past page 162.
It's this year. It's this generation's Beckett guide.
Yeah.
They added, Capes, do you know they added a sale feature?
Yeah.
Where you could see sales? I'm going to throw you. So Jeter hit curveballs, fastballs. This should be no problem for you, Milan. Milan, you just showed me 10 houses in the North Jersey, a little bit in Central Jersey. Took me to the Jersey Shore. Sick. But why would I buy at the peak of the market, man? Why would I buy right now? Have you seen what's going on?
Oh, why? Because the rates went up? Is that what you're scared of?
I'm a moron. I don't even know what I'm saying, but you're the real estate.
Listen, the rates might be a little bit higher right now, but that all means the price of the home is going to come down. When the rates get lower, you can refinance your house and pull a lot of that money out, even more than what you put down. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
I've never bought a house. I don't know.
But I think the missing piece of that is you still have to have the money to put in now. You still need the dry powder now. You need the liquidity to put, your down payment and buy it now. People have less buying power at a start when the interest rates go up, right? You can afford less house when the interest rates go up.
Of course. You went from a $1.5 million house to a $1 million house when the rates went up 2%. So
exactly.
But then you also need to realize your lane. Like, why would you be buying stuff that you can't afford? I mean, listen, we're all adults here. I mean, there might be some 15-year-olds that are taking money from their parents and spending it on illicit cards, but you have to be financially responsible. I mean, listen, it comes down to that. Like, nobody's going to babysit you, and if you let the influence of Instagram, if you don't use Instagram to just interact with like-minded people and see other stuff and have a laugh, then you're using it for the wrong reasons. I mean, if you're using it to try to make money, to try to that, it's going to catch up to you sooner or later.
Andrew uses it to find local Ukrainian women.
I got my son here.
Oh, there he is. Look at this guy.
Say hi.
Do you like Derek Jeter? Do you like Derek Jeter, buddy?
I have headphones. He can't hear me. Do you like Derek Jeter?
He looks Ian's age.
Yeah, he looks about the same age.
Come here. Say hi.
Look at this dude.
This is Matthias.
How old?
What's up, buddy?
How old now?
He's going to be 7 now.
Oh, that's a big dude.
You're live. You're live.
You are live. You're streaming out to the thousands of people in attendance and the millions listening around the world.
All right. Go.
Look at this
go
guy.
Tell mommy I'm here.
Tell him we'll keep 15 more minutes. We'll keep Milan, and then he's back with the kids.
I'll be right up in a little bit.
What do you think?
We're talking about your inheritance, pal.
I want to talk with you.
All right.
Yeah, I know. This is live.
No, dude, this is good stuff, man.
You can't hear anything because I have headphones on.
Cage, I'm not with you on the PMGs when it comes to Griffey, Jeter, like the legends of the game. I think baseball legends of the game in that 90s are underappreciated. I think Cal Ripken Jr. is super underappreciated.
I mean, I think Tim Duncan's super underappreciated.
Yeah,
you're buying his cards.
Well, listen, if he means something to you, why not buy his cards? No, but seriously, why not buy his cards? If you like the cards, if you like the player, if you like the designs, why not buy them? Because
where I'm going, Milan. It's more of like I know that it's numbered, it's easy, the whole deal, right? But I mean, I haven't done the research on this, and maybe I should, right? But I mean, it's a short print, but like the first refractor set of baseball, the 1993 baseball refractor set, the one that started it all, like my favorite. The assumed print run on the refractors is 241 per. Okay, that's a
Okay.
rare enough card, right? And in PSA 10, some of them don't even exist, right? You're talking about like Griffey's got a few, but like Nolan Ryan, that's impossible to find those. Some of them, you're talking about single digit. That kind of card has the same type of appeal to me as a PMG.
Yeah.
Same type of appeal.
Okay.
And it's the print run is similar. Not the same exactly, but similar. And in high grade, definitely. But those cards do not get the run. They do not get the play that the other ones do, right? A Michael Jordan refractor in PSA 10, right? Obviously, the print
Well,
run
I mean,
goes
listen, you can't compare a Michael Jordan card to a lot of cards.
But
it
compare
also
it to a
matters-
Jordan PMG, right? Like compare it to a PMG red out of 90, and look at the pop on those and compare it to like the Jordan refractor from 93 finest. There's more of them.
Right.
There's definitely more, and
Right.
that's a big difference. But the pricing difference is huge. Compare it to like the hoops, Bam,
Yeah, but
Slant.
aesthetically speaking, too. I mean, personally, I like the way the '96 PMG looks compared to the way the finest refractor is, where he's dunking over his head. I mean,
Yep.
the design is a little more cleaner. It's a little more appealing. It goes to set love too. Like Metal Universe gets a lot of love, just the set itself.
Yeah, but why?
Why? Well,
It's a sick set.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first. It was just the way they did it that I found out.
Wasn't
later,
the first?
but it was just a
Wasn't the
beautiful
first
set,
metal?
Yeah.
Wasn't the first metal?
No, it wasn't. But the year, the '96, it's like when they did Exquisite for it's almost like they did it for Kobe.
This
that's
is
older
nuts.
metal.
Nuts and bolts.
bolts.
'95. Yeah.
95. Yeah.
Like they had innovation.
Slick
man. That was
silver
pretty cool.
with a die cut
Yeah.
on top of it. I used to pull those out of
Yep.
packs in drugstores in Staten Island. You can one per box, the die cut. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess where I'm going with it is it's the contrarian. I don't know why I fight the tide, right? But the tide right now it's PMG basketball. It's not PMG anything else. And yeah, I've seen the football ones start to creep up, but I think a lot of that and why I'm spending time on this, Andrew, is I think a lot of people are probably chasing the football and the baseball, not with altruistic Milan type of motives, like I'm going to buy the Jeter and keep it forever. It's because they don't really love the card. They're buying it because they say, well, if the basketball is worth this, I'm going to be able to sell the baseball one because the baseball one's underappreciated. Someone like you, I mean, how many games did Cal Ripken play in a row?
Like 3,000.
Yeah, like 3,000. People who really want to spend that money on Cal Ripken will tell you exactly how many Cal Ripken, how many games he played in a row.
Well,
and
that's
what
why
else
I buy Kobe and Shaq.
You Shaq. I love the Shaq. I love the Shaq love, man.
I'm starting to think Shaq's better than Kobe, and it's really fucking with me, man. I can't sleep.
I said that to you once, and you lost your
I am
shit
dense.
on me.
I don't listen to anybody at my own peril.
Well, he's a completely different player from Kobe. I mean, he's a monster. He's a monster.
He also won all three of their first finals MVPs.
Yeah, he did.
He stunned people in 2 finals. Like, he was the best player in 2000 and 2001. It was like he was a bully.
And you would think Shaq being a movie star or he was a rapper. He's like all over. He's known everywhere. He's on commercials all over the place. You'd think his cards would be 10x at least what they are.
Bro, I
It's
bought
like
one of
crazy,
his-
man.
You want to know why?
What's
The
the
NBA
Kaboom
loves
finest
guards.
gold?
The Kaboom Cabal does not go for Shaq.
What
came
takes time to
before them.
build a cabal?
The Kaboom Cabal. No Shaq.
What's the deal with Topps finest gold? Numbered? They're not numbered.
Topps finest gold.
Yeah,
I don't
like
even
Topps
know.
finest.
I
They're
don't even know
labeled
what
like
that is.
gold, bronze, in like 97.
Oh, they yeah. So they just had different borders, like the airs one, like the gold, bronze. Yeah, they're not numbered.
It was the bronze,
And no-
the silver, and the gold. It just depended what number they were put in the set. You had
Correct.
bronze, silver, and gold. But then you had the refractor version, which was like the little checkerboard.
I scooped a Shaq Gold 9 for $16 on PWCC Weekly. Incredible. I love sharing my deals. No one cares, Andrew. Let me. Well,
Shaq gets no love.
Milan, are you going to National?
My first one. I am.
First one?
Yeah,
And
bro.
you-
I've never been to one. Yeah. This is
what made you want to go to this one?
He lives in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's in Atlantic City. It's a short trip. I'm going. I know Shay's going to be setting up, so I have somewhere to put my butt down and hang out and, just enjoy the festivities. I'm also going down with a good buddy of mine, Rodfest. He's flying in and we're going to drive down. So I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, meeting a bunch of more people and just hanging out. I doubt I'm going to buy anything. I doubt I'm going to I don't even want to bring my cards down there because I don't.
Why do you doubt you're going to buy anything? You got to have a top 10, top 5 Jeters that are still missing from your wall. They're going to be expensive.
Yeah. I know anybody that's selling at the Nationals knows what they're doing. So
when are you getting down?
I'm going down Wednesday. There's going to be I think a trade night. I got the VIP pass. So I'm going to go down Wednesday. There's I don't know, a trade night or a meet or something. And then I'm going to go Friday night to Saturday. Those 2 days I'm going to be there too.
Right now, other than the trade night, Cage, all events Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Cigar night is going to be the biggest event of National. I
was going to say, I saw that. Can I get an invite? When is that?
You're an honorary.
Is that on Wednesday? Is that on Wednesday?
Gotta have an NFT. Gotta have a tiger.
Dude, I'll make you one. 24 by 24 pixels in Photoshop. You got it.
God, no, can't right click save. We're gonna check your wallet.
Cage is a savage. Cage, I love it. I was gonna say honorary member. We'll talk offline. I'm gonna say yes, but I have to run it by the big boss. I can't cash checks my ass. What is it? Can't write checks my ass.
The tiger's like $75 right now.
I want to respect your family time. I want you to get back to your son. Leave us with 60 seconds, 90 seconds. You're running a podcast, right? What wisdom, not advice, what wisdom would you share with our community as we're heading into 1 month from National and then kind of as the year ends and then more of a long-term view? And then we'll let you go back with the kids.
As they say, collect what you like. No, I'm just kidding. No,
it's very true, though, Milan.
Seriously. Well, listen, you have to have a perspective. You have to have a reason why you're going into this, and you have to have a goal in mind. Like, set a goal for yourself. If somebody's goal is to flip to $10,000, that's your goal. Set that up for yourself. But you got to, follow the market, knowledge, talk to some people. It doesn't happen overnight, and the other thing is, I would say to anybody that's starting out, that's collecting, be careful, how you're influenced by cards that pop up on eBay and what people say about them. I like what you say, the bigger the story, the less I want the card. I agree with that 100%. If somebody is telling me about cards, he doesn't care. He's like, he just wants to be in the spotlight.
He deserves it.
Yeah. He's
he looks like you, Andrew.
Hey, bro, we might be long lost cousins. You never know.
Dude, I was bleach blonde.
If I let my hair go out,
it would look like that.
The same thing. Put my little, I can't connect this, but I could, let it thicken out.
Milan, how about this? You ready? So what I've learned from you, and tell me if I'm on here, and what I think the folks should get from this hour of hilarity. Right, 1, there's a kaboom cabal, and 2, PMGs. There's people who are telling you to buy them. But more importantly, you stuck to your guns. You said, you know what, I'm going to collect Kobe. I'm going to collect a certain kind of Kobe. I'm going to collect this, and whether it's luck, happenstance, circumstances, timing, you name it, you wound up being able to sell for a nice profit. We're not going to get into how much money it is, how many millions you made, but because you bought what you wanted to buy. I know you made a joke of, buy what you love, but you really did. You bought what you love. And you then tested the waters out of other things, prospecting, gambling, and you came back and said, you know what? It worked the first time. I'm not going to go back to Kobe, but I'm going to find something else that I love, something else that hits home for me, because a couple things happened there. Number one, you are willing to put in those hours of eBay time and Poshmark time and flea market time because it is something you love, and the collection and the chase to build up that collection is something you love. You love the notoriety. That's the Kobe guy who's now the Jeter guy, right? You love that fun stuff. But then more importantly, I think the lesson to take from this is through ups, downs, market swings, years where it's lean, years where the overall macro is bad or good, if you're buying stuff that there's not a lot of, and that there's going to be more than a few people who are buying it with the same goal in mind as you, which is to buy it to have it, buy it because you love it, buy it because you don't want to sell it, not buy it because you do want to sell it,
Right.
those cards are just going to go up in value.
It's, I mean, I agree with your point. That's exactly, what I went back to doing again, because that's how it started. And it cycles too. Like, that's what we have to keep in mind. You can't stress day to day. It's like trying to day trade. It doesn't work. You have to let the cycles come and go. I mean, there was a boom a slight boom in like 2013, 14, not to the extent of this, but they went up, then they settled back down, then they go up again. So I'm like, it's about being comfortable as a collector, that knowing that in 5-10 years, I'm not worried. If I know I won't lose maybe 80% of the value, 100% of the value, I might lose 50%, but in the long run, it's all going to come back. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. Because the other thing about it is, who you collect does matter to an extent if you want to preserve the potential money you put into it. It does matter. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm going to collect, whatever player. Because in order to eventually make money, somebody wants to buy that card for whatever reason. So you need to find a buyer eventually if you do want to make money. If you never plan on selling them, or if you don't care, if there's different types of players, different types of levels. But obviously, if I was able to collect Griffey, or if I wanted to collect Griffey, I would make sure to, that I know that Griffey is one of those people that I could find a buyer in a week for the cards. And that's how I feel about Jeter.
So
that's
Milan,
the other part of it.
One other fun piece that we probably glossed over, and I'd like to make sure that our listeners get. You made a little joke. You talked about how you had rules. Your fiscal responsibility. You have family. You have all these other fun things, right? And you talked about how you passed on a Jeter, and you might have some regrets on it. You passed on a PMG, and it's worth more now in the whole deal. And ultimately, yeah, that may keep you up a little bit here and there, but you probably sleep fine because you've set those rules for yourself. And I think it's an important lesson for some of the folks who got in recently and maybe a little over leveraged. You're able to now come and say with a straight face, I can lose 50% of the value of this. But I know if I just sit still, I don't chase that bottom and try selling at the bottom, I know that I'm buying quality assets that if I just let time do its thing, even if it does go down, it will eventually go back up. You've seen that happen. And more importantly, you're able to have that mindset and outlook because you've set these fiscal responsible rules for yourself where 80% of your net worth is not in your Jeter collection wall behind you. And I think that's an important thing that has to be balanced. And we glossed over it a little bit like, oh, I passed on that. But you passed on it because it didn't fit in your rules. And those rules, that fiscal responsibility allows you to now, if the market trends downward, say, you know what? I've been through this. And I'll be through it again, and I'm still going to be able to pay my bills, and I don't have to pull a couple cards off the wall and sell at a loss to pay my bills. That's a very important piece.
And I want to just touch on another thing. I think there's a lot more people like me in the hobby than there are the people that you might consider that came in at the top and are worried why they can't make money now. There's a lot more people who have been in the hobby way longer than I have. And much more experienced and so on and so forth. But then the ones that we like to think about, they make the bang, they make the flash, it shows up, it makes a headline, it's fun, like it's funny, but like, I like.
Yeah, I like those guys.
Can I add something there, guys?
Yeah.
Because they show up at the F1 race with their F1 cards and their hair and it wasn't dandruff. I mean, we love them all. I'm sorry.
And those people that did come in the last few years, be willing to find mentors and coaches with people like Cage and Milan who have seen the cycles and learn. How have you dealt with this in the past? Don't be arrogant, be humble going through this period.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's one of those things, like anything. If you're in it with a goal and you have, the right intentions per se, like if you like something, like you have to like the car. Like I can't go be a poker player because I like poker. I actually have to practice. Like you actually have to learn some strategy. You have to put some time in. You have to lose some money, but you might become a good poker player. You got to put the 10,000 hours in. Isn't that like one of those things in the book somewhere? Right, to master something. So
there you go. He listens. He listens to
with
Andrew.
anything in life.
I didn't.
Yeah, right.
Way smarter people than I did. Guys, this is one of those we'll have Milan back for round 2. Cigar night.
I'll be there.
Need the Tiger.
Peace.
We'll have you back after. We love to hear people's first national experience. Oh, you popped your
Definitely.
cherry.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luka Nation.